I'm doing well. Can't complain. In fact, I have to say, I wrote to my wife in a text. I said, we got a groovy kind of love. It's just a kind of a
Mm.
groovy kind of feeling. And,
Absolutely.
that's all I got to say. The waves are very tranquil and, yeah, digging it. How are you
Yeah,
doing?
to do this dance of life with somebody that you guys can stay in resonance, that's such a gift. Oh, embrace it fully because it's rare and precious.
Yeah. And, we're absolutely two polar opposites. I get up in the
Yep,
morning,
that
tip.
works.
It does work. I mean,
Yes, it
yeah,
does.
yeah. I mean, it's never boring, and
Where
yeah,
you're weak, she's strong, and vice versa. There
got
is
that
that
right.
strong polarity with that opposition, and that's why they say, the magnets attract. And I think there's good reason for that, and that is that beautiful blend is where I'm weak, you're strong, and where you're strong, I'm weak.
It's really interesting, and I'm becoming convinced, Trina, that just hello all the moderators. Hey, Twisted Isby, so good to see you. So I'm convinced it was part of our soul contract.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really do. Let me just invoke and speak favor over everybody. Nothing missing, nothing broken in your lives. Trina, I believe what we're going to get in today, I'm going to do a follow up probably tomorrow, maybe Thursday, on this very thing that
Mhm.
if more people were aware of their soul contracts, the challenges in their lives would, number one, be met. Two, they would understand that free will allows you to adjust paths
Yes.
in soul contracts. And three, to begin to appreciate even your enemies in your life, where they're there to teach you something.
They might be your best friend in the spirit realms, and they said, all right, I'll go down and play the villain for you, dude.
And I have read numerous stories. I tell you again, this book is like chocolate cake. You can't
Yes.
get enough. Uh, anyway, numerous stories of soulmates
Yes.
who one will play the role of the victim, the other
Yes.
one, you said, the
The
perpetrator.
perpetrator. Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen this dynamic in doing Soul Journey. I've seen this many, many times. The dynamics within our families are profound. But when you start to see them through different people, you start to see the similarities. That's like it's like we're all running these patterns, and these patterns, they always have perpetrator, victim. Um, you're always going to have the martyr. You're going to have there's different roles, and we all are playing these roles, and sometimes we play all of the roles as we go through our life. We change and take on new. So
Yeah.
it's an amazing journey to watch these dynamics, and specifically the connections to the people we love in our families.
I think it's amazing. I did put together a little PowerPoint, kind of
Yes.
to bring into focus some of the things. And give me one second, I have to pull it up because it was there and now it's not. It's like, well, wait a minute, I had
That's
that.
like just disappears.
I had that sucker saved. What happened to it?
Right.
And we
That's
live in
that
a marvelous time of technology. I have to say, it's quite fascinating. So give me
point.
one second.
Yeah, no problem.
I have
I think the
to.
energy might be disturbing the technology too, because it's off the hook right now.
I
With
agree with that.
yeah,
I
with
absolutely agree with that.
yeah,
There
I
it
think
is. So I will pull this up, as they would say.
yes.
Uh, it's like, okay. Um, and let me get back to our screen. Oh, there you are.
Hi.
How are you, Trina? It's got to stop meeting this way. People are going to
I
start
know, right?
talking, the next thing. So, um, what are
Mm.
soul contracts and how they affect our relationships? It's amazing. Now, you and I were talking, I am going to be making an appointment. I'm committed to it. And I am going to do an LBL session, which is life between lives.
Yep.
Yep. And because as Lynn and I were talking last night, there have been certain challenges in my life that I have seen that I want number one resolution to.
Yeah.
And I think being able at this point in my life, it will actually be an early review as opposed of being able to peek into the curtains to what, say, someone who's 30.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
I think to be able to go into those parts of ourselves is one of the most profound things you can do for yourself, because you completely see things from a different point of view.
oh, don't you? And
Yes.
I think it's what so many of us lack. So, a lot of people,
Yes.
a lot of different definitions for perceptions of what soul contracts are. I pulled this up and I thought it was pretty spot on. It says, before we enter this physical time and space, our soul made an agreement. Before you came into human form, your soul had specific purpose and destiny that it had agreed to fulfill. This destiny was written and is your soul contract. We all have soul contracts. That's what I didn't realize. In one life,
Yeah.
you can have multiple contracts.
That's what I saw, not only with yourself, but with other people.
Yes.
Lots of them. Yeah.
That was like, well, there's some revelation.
Yeah.
And it's essentially, it is a list of lessons that we are meant to acquire in this lifetime in order to advance our soul to a higher level of consciousness.
Yep.
I said that Earth used to have, I think, more of a saturation of older souls. I think the older souls are becoming fewer and fewer, and the infusion of all these souls coming in, I think for the vast majority, are new souls.
You know what I see?
How do you see it?
I've seen that some of the oldest souls are here. Some of the ancient souls that need to have a lot of karmic payback are here.
Mm-hmm.
I see that I have a feeling this is like it's one of those huge transitional windows that bring people into new dimensions. And you're either going to rise or fall or remain the same. You're going to go same, lower, or higher. But this is one of those windows of time. And I don't think it's like one day or 1 month. I think it's a span of probably many, many years. It could even be up to, a couple hundred years. I don't know.
I think it could be potentially an age. They
It could
say,
be. Yeah,
yeah,
it could be.
yeah,
But I think this transition is happening. And I think a lot of this darkness, or these ones that appear like they've never been souls before and appear new, I think many of them are coming from the realms of darkness through artificial intelligence that have never had bodies before. So I think we're seeing a lot of this darkness coming into physical bodies because they're making bodies for them.
I think you may be spot on that, my dear.
Yeah, so
Um,
that's what I'm seeing with the new ones. I don't think they're new at all. I think they've never even had a body before, because for
they may
whatever
be, like you
reason,
said, from a different realm.
yeah, and I don't think they were they ever had any kind of permission to inhabit a body, and I think that's why they want them so bad, but they didn't. But now we've given them a bridge.
We do build bridges.
Yes, we
Um,
do.
so one of the things I have discovered is, for instance, the time of our birth, date, and place is no accident.
Yeah.
We apparently choose our family.
Yep.
Specifically, they're chosen for us, by us.
Yep.
That's
That's a hard thing to swallow for a lot of people, and it was for me too. I mean, I have a good family, thank God, but it has its problems just like everybody else. But uh, you know, when we really look at that, and it gets validated over and over and over again that you actually chose this stuff, you it starts to affect you in a different way. It's different. It changes it and helps you heal.
I people know that I grew for a period of my time in my childhood in a state home
Yep.
and for abused children. And the thing that, as I look back now and reflect on that, it's amazing to me how many of us apparently chose the same challenge
Yeah.
of, having parental figures that, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that, you're going to wait a minute, yeah, and it is, it's a difficult thing to get your arm around. I mean, your brain around, like, I chose
It
this.
completely is. It totally, you're absolutely right, mate. I mean, could you imagine saying, "Oh, I want to sign up to have my butt handed to me every day by my drunk dad"? No. Who would think such a thing? It's crazy when you think about it. But for whatever reason, we really did see our lifetimes and we agreed to them.
Something, I'll say this to the audience today. I met the challenge.
Ah, yes, you did.
I did. And, that's why I'm at the point in my life now where there's many different paths before me, because I've done a lot. I've met a lot of the challenges. I know I have.
I think you're at the position where you fulfilled your contracts, and now with the graduation of that, now you can literally start to co-create and manifest whatever you desire because you've earned it. It's kind of like a graduation gift.
I heard my spirit guide say to me this morning in meditation, he says, "We're all giving you a big hug." I
That's
said,
exactly right. And
far out.
you know when I saw that happen for you the first time, Wayne, I knew it was coming, was when you had that rainbow land on your house. I was
Yeah,
like, holy smokes,
no
he is getting the
kidding.
big business is coming now. You better
I
hold
had
on,
forgot
Wayne.
about that. Yeah, and now that you're reminding me of this, it's also the dream I had with the golden snake.
Yes. And
Wow.
it was all around the same time. I told you, I
Yeah.
said, oh, Magi. Oh, get ready.
Man, what the heck's going on here, Elmer? Uh, um, they say that certain people are destined to come into our lives to help us heal something, either from a past life or in this lifetime. Many are of our group.
Yeah.
Um, I'm reaching out now, and you have to basically make the mental, physical effort to really speak out to your spirit guides. But um,
Mhm.
I said, I was asking about soulmates. That's an interesting concept, right?
Yeah.
And I heard distinctly, in a sense, our tribes, our groups are our soulmates.
That's exactly what I know to be true. Your soulmates are your true family. It's your spiritual family. It's the ones that you've chose to do missions with before you incarnated. They're people you trust with your life.
Yes.
You literally trust them with your life, and you literally choose each other, and you make agreements as a group. And I've seen that the initial group is a six pack, and the six pack has four groups attached to that as 24, and that's the 24 elders. They're yours.
Interesting. Yes.
Oh, I see it.
I wish that I had learned this 40 years ago.
Gosh, me too.
I mean, I'm sitting here going, well, yeah, I mean, I look at the positive side. Well, at least you're learning, Steiger. It's like, okay, yeah, yeah.
Oh, we're so much further along than most, just because to have this kind of knowledge is it's been so hidden and guarded.
Yeah, it
It's all
has. Yeah.
coming out, and to deliver it to the world, it's changing the frequency in a really good way, because it's literally awakening people, because they're looking at things from a different way,
They
and that
are.
causes confusion. And as soon as the mind is confused, it will try to find a solution, and that means sometimes looking at it from a different perspective. And when your brain can't travel down the same neural pathway that it used to, that charge is different in the body because it's not going through the same part of the brain. So it causes healing.
And that, as you were talking, it's what always reminded me as a child. Um, I went into one of those carnival, yeah, it was a carnival, the House of Mirrors.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think so often as I look back now, it's the perfect metaphor for the fact that each of us, when you look into a mirror that has a reflection of a mirror, you go to infinity.
Yeah, with the copies.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why. Like, I think the teachings that Christ was like, love your brother as yourself, because fool, it might be you.
Exactly, and in fact, that is a teaching of of Buddha, is the fact that you know don't don't want to strike your enemy, because your enemy, as you may find out,
Is
is in
yourself.
fact your brother,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
like you said, or yourself.
Yeah, and that's the big one, is when it's actually you. And they've been teaching me that lesson in different ways, but one of the most profound one was when I was appeared in front of a council of my guide, council of masters, and all Buddha, Jesus,
Hmm.
Lake Nada. There was angels there. There was a group of high level beings, Saint Germain, Purple Robe Dude. It was crazy, and I was like so honored to be in front of these beings, and they all had these hooded garments on, and then I was like, almost ready to like start bowing and worship, because the energy that was coming
Oh
off of
yeah.
them, it was overwhelming. And I was just in such awe. And then it was so funny because one of them looked at me, the females, and she was like, she just started giggling and shaking her head like, no, 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 because I was feeling all worshipy and stuff. And they just looked at me like, don't you remember? And I was like, what? And they took their hoods down over their head all at the same time. And at the same time, they took all their hoods back. Everyone had turned into my face, and they're like, we are one. You are us.
Exactly. And
And I
I
was
can,
just floored.
as I contend, why would God want worshipers?
No, they don't, and that
No.
is worship, is to worship what you are, because when you worship and honor yourself, you're honoring all of us, because we are all one family.
And most people, Trina, do not worship themselves. They consider
No.
it to be egotistical, narcissistic. They consider it to be sin.
Yeah, you can't project love if you can't feel love. So you
Boy,
learn
folks.
how to love, right, and love yourself. You cannot project love to others.
All right, let's get on the other point. Whatever events unfold in your life are here in order to help you evolve to a higher state of consciousness, and was planned by you and your guide. Death is also included on your soul contract, but not as a date. Rather, it is a moment in your life, a moment when you realize whatever it is that you need to realize in order to move back into the spirit form. You were sent to this dimension of earth at a specific time, to a specific place, with a specific purpose. One thing that is not predetermined, however, is your free will and choice. Life is full of choices. We all have free will. We are all in charge to a certain extent, and we all have a say in how we want our life to unfold once we get here. Finally, these choices are seen as our fate. We can choose which path to go down. We can choose which road to avoid, which road to pursue. But one thing that we cannot change is our destiny.
Yeah.
And I got some examples, Trina, of maybe to help some people kind of identify and focus in at where they are right now in life.
Hmm.
Because I think, Trina, and you help me here on that, a person, let's say, that is struggling on multiple fronts, let's say that they're struggling financially,
Uh-huh.
and because of the financial stress,
Uh-huh.
that the one that they're in love with, their mate,
Hmm.
that this is causing friction, separation.
Yes.
The tension then begins to grow within the house, that when the two come together, and even with the family, the tension is ever present.
Yes. All of that is frequency, and all of that is based on thought, and thought produces emotion, and emotion produces the field. So the only way out of this is to completely, you have to control your thoughts, which will control your frequency. This is where you have to go into the fake it till you make it. You have to watch funny movies all day long. You have to constantly break the patterns of your frequency over and over and over and over and over again until they shift. And this is hard work.
I want to read you something in here that I thought was so profound. And I think that some of you will appreciate this as well in this book that I am devouring. But I love what this guy said. Um, he says, remember, laughter and music is next to godliness.
Sure is. Bingo, because it's
Bingo, baby.
frequency.
Yeah, man. And those
Yes,
who
it's like,
laugh,
line me up on that track because the one I'm on sucks.
exactly.
Yeah,
All right. So if
shift it.
it,
You got to shift it. Nobody can do
yeah,
it for you. It is work, but you have to bust those thought patterns out of your existence and replace them with what you want to see, not what you're looking at.
bingo. All right. So if you're someone who is afraid to be seen as marching to your own drummer, someone who doesn't break rules or rock the boat, who doesn't even want others to know you're reading this, this is a very common agreement that we humans tend to commit ourselves as a way of protection. By standing in the background and blending in, you run less risk of being ostracized, penalized, or pointed out. While this might have seemed like a good idea during some lifetime when you were still reeling from being made fun of or something that you did, the current reality means that it will become difficult to build a business, become an expert, write a book, and I like to add in there a relationship, because you must stand out in order to do these things.
Yes.
Trina, you stand out like a beacon of light on the hill of 1,000 views.
Yeah, you gotta let they I'm guilty of that. I like to stay in the background. Like me doing this whole YouTube thing is so not my thing. But my spirit guide, they told me, they said, you have a contract. I was like, oh man.
And it's a rare opportunity, by the way. We're going to talk more on this in future shows, that this is a rare opportunity, particularly for many of us in the areas of karmatic balance.
Yes.
It is graduation time.
Yeah, and they said it's time for us to let our freak flags fly, because the truth that's inside of us is, it's so ready to be anchored into the planet. And for whatever reason, they told me that the anchoring comes through our voices.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Who out there is anxious? Who out there, and I know many of you write me, have this feeling of anxiety all the time? Listen, it's very common, folks.
Yeah.
And so if you're someone who always feels anxious, nervous, or worried, your soul might be holding you to this type of contract. Do you wait for the other shoe to drop? When money is coming in, do you count the days until you know it will go out again? When one of your worries alleviates, do you quickly replace it with another thing to worry about? You may be thinking this is a normal human nature, but it isn't. In many cases, it's a contract that you took out sometime in the past life that your soul is still believing is valid.
Yeah.
Why would you ever make such a commitment? Perhaps you felt that if you were wrapped yourself in a blanket of anxiety, it would heighten your awareness so that nothing could ever get by you again and surprise or hurt you again. Filtering life through the blanket of anxiety is not fun for you, obviously, or for the people around you. When you release this commitment, you'll find that you are more able to be in touch with your inner soul. Intuition. Anxiety blocks us from our intuition. So you are more easily and naturally kept up to date when you allow your tuition. Then you can go by what we call that gut feeling and what's coming down the pike. What do you think, my dear?
I think that is so spot on, and it's so funny, but they're still missing the essence of it all. Every single one of those paths goes to one thing, and that's fear. And that fear, 10 to 1, was installed through utter trauma. Apparently, as the book of the Giant speaks about, is we have been through some really serious trauma. So those programs were probably installed out of protection and utter fear of primal protection. in those lifetimes. Um, burning of the stakes, Holocaust. There's so much here. And then, the giants, there's so much here. And this is a potential that all of us have gone through these things. So
And
with that, we're running these programs at a cellular genetic code memory from past traumas that we have no conscious awareness of. And that's why they're telling me, let your freak flag fly. It is time to really dive into what is believed and known as faith. And faith is fearless, and faith is based upon love, knowing that they will catch you if you fall. And they're saying, be brave and be bold. And don't let the fears of the past bring and create your future. This is a time now where we can actually change all the frequencies of vibration through our imagination, our belief in our imagining a good life, imagining these positive frequencies. It can heal the past. We can imagine anything we want. But they're telling me, let your freak flag fly. It's time to share your truth.
I agree.
Yep.
I know there's a lot of people out in our community that loneliness is a problem. So have you been looking for your soulmate throughout your life, only to have one relationship out of another result in failure? Dis-ease, by the way, dis-ease literally means, ladies and gentlemen, divided peace.
Yes.
That's what it means.
Yes.
Sadness.
And it creates distortion.
Yes.
Frequency. Yeah. So the dis-ease creates the unbalanced rhythm, which causes the imbalance in the frequency. It's so crazy.
And we do it all the time.
Yep.
All right. Have you tired of blind dates, online dating, and settling for someone who isn't it? While there are many different contracts that could be standing in the way of finding love, the soul contract of loneliness can be one of the most difficult to handle. When your soul is adhering to this type of agreement, even when you found someone wonderful, you'll still feel alone, separated, and unsupported. Release this contract and you'll finally be able to feel the support and the love that is out there. Whereas with this contract, it's like it doesn't exist, even though it's often right next to you.
Yep. That contract, I think, is installed from I am not worthy of love.
Oh, spot on, Trina.
Yep.
Spot
I am
on.
not worthy of love. And that gets installed before age 7 when you're a child, and that will cause those chronic issues to come up in your lifetime and time again, because I am not worthy of love. And when love shows up, I'm going to throw it away because I am not worthy of it. That is a crap contract, and we need to break those apart immediately. Like,
I love it. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's done. That needs to go.
It sucks.
Yep, that one needs to be handled right away. Yeah,
I love that.
I had to work on that one. That's why I know it. I had to work on that one for myself. So
I think all of them, I've had to work on this. All right, the soul contract of loyalty. This is an interesting one. Do you stand by your friend, lover, parent, boss, whoever, no matter what they do or how they treat you? Have you ever heard yourself saying, yes, she's pretty mean, but family is family? Or, I have no choice, he's my boss. The loyalty soul contract will often help a person create a situation in which they are walked all over by those they love, and where a person feels helpless or trapped when considering changing or leaving the relationship because they don't want to abandon the other person. When a soul contract of this nature is finally released, you will be able to make changes in your relationships, personal and professional, even if those changes are something you've struggled with for years. So, as leaving your husband or quitting a job, the hold on these people over you will be gone.
Yep. And again, it's the same thing. It's backwards. That's an abandonment contract that you have, that you've been abandoned before. And it's the opposite. And it's reflective in that. That's how it reflects. It shows up in your life in the opposite. So yeah, it's an abandonment contract, and you've been abandoned. You're afraid of being abandoned. So you adopt loyalty, because loyalty secures you that nobody will ever leave you, because you're loyal, and people appreciate loyalty. And loyalty means you always stand by your word and do what you're going to say. So people are drawn to that. So when people are drawn to that, they will never leave you because they're drawn to those attributes. It's a contract over abandonment.
Yes. Yes. You should have been here in the office when I was putting this together. Guys, a perfect word.
I love reading this with you live because it's totally like we just bounce stuff off each other.
So, and there is the duality of this reality. Loyalty,
Yes.
you would think is a virtue of character.
And it can be, but it can also be a protection device.
Abandonment.
Yes.
I mean, it's the antithesis of loyalty.
Yes.
Yes. I love that.
Right?
I love that. All right, this is a deep one, folks. The soul contract of martyrdom. Do you find that it is a lot easier to say yes than it is to say no? Do you put your own needs or desires aside to help others, even animals, even when it's really inconvenient to you? Do you feel like you're a good person or a better person if you sacrifice your own needs in some way to make someone else happy? If you answer yes to any of these, you are probably A, feeling pretty frustrated with your life, B, feeling that other people don't appreciate you, and C, feeling tired and drained. You probably also feel that being called selfish is the worst type of insult. And you most likely make decisions constructed to ensure that no one can ever apply that label to you. This is how the martyrdom soul contract often manifests. It is not pretty. Once you've broken this soul level agreement, it won't mean you'll never help another person. Rather, it will allow you to make better decisions about who to help and when.
Yep.
And also about how to continue to take care of yourself while giving to others. A much more balanced way to live for sure.
Absolutely. And again, that's the same soul contract of I am not worthy and I'm a victim, and it's easier to be a victim because nobody can blame a victim. It's the self responsibility and fear to take action. They want to put it off on everybody else. So it's lack of responsibility, wanting to never be persecuted for making a wrong choice. These programs are so deep within us.
They are deep.
Yeah. So deep within us. So it's a protection device. So you'd rather get kicked around your whole life than possibly be doing the kicking around of somebody else, because you do not want to take that responsibility. You'd rather be the victim than the persecutor. So that's how you've coped with that mechanism and that choice.
Fantastic. We could do a movie on this.
Are so layered, It's so funny. Every time I think about how layered these things are, I always think of Shrek, and he says, I'm an onion. There's layers. It's so true.
It is. Mm-hmm. So, Miss Trina, what I did here, dear, is that I went out on the web, and I found some great, these are almost contract breaking, but affirmations.
Right on.
All right. So you can break a soul contract when you feel that your agreements no longer serve your growth or actually stand in your way. It is possible to free yourself from them. For some people, this will truly allow them to blossom on their spiritual journey and actually help them to better serve the planet by raising overall consciousness. For example, if you have recognized a contract around poverty consciousness that is no longer serving your higher purpose, you can say the following: I am master of my own creation. I acknowledge that I feel fear about not having enough money and that it is no longer serves my spiritual path. With the power of my higher self, I release this fear back to the universe for the greatest good, to be transformed into the highest form of divine love and light.
Yes. Yeah. And I would sign it off too by saying, abundance is easily brought forth into my new reality, because my reality now is different than the one that I was sitting in.
Uh,
Literally shift your frequency on how you feel about money. You got to do that part first.
You have to learn to speak money. I mean, I know people who
Yeah.
have a difficult time looking in the mirror and saying, I have money, and they'll say, but wait a
Yeah.
minute, I don't have money. Well, it's calling those things that be not as though they are.
Look, people that don't have money, that have these big financial blocks, they've installed those for protections. I mean, what if you guys were a king and when you had to become that king, what if you had to decide what 50% of your kingdom was going to die from starvation because you'd been under attack for the last 8 years and we're slowly losing the battle? There is trauma behind these lacks. Trauma, deep trauma. So financial, not having the ability to bring money into your life, that is fear-based, and it's a deep fear. And it's about you not wanting to have more than other people. And through that, you've installed your own lack.
I'm telling you, folks, Trina, this is therapy.
Yeah, it is. And this is what we need. We need to
Yeah.
understand why we do what we do, because we don't get it, because we're not conscious of it. And I think that is how we get free will, through the amnesia of not remembering all of our existence. That is what gives you free will, because then you're using your gut and your senses and your reactions, because you're not using your memory bank from past. But on the other hand, your body's reacting to the past.
And it will. It will.
Yes. So it's
I,
a real conundrum, because we're running these programs that we can't see and we don't know where they came from. But that is how we get free will, because if you knew everything, it would be like there wouldn't be free will, because you'd already know too much.
exactly.
So you
Spot
got
on.
to have the amnesia to learn. So it makes sense that we brought it into place for our own benefit. But through that amnesia, that's how we get our free will. But our free will is still being highly charged based upon our past traumas. So those are what we need to see. When we see disruptive patterns in our life, we need to really go into those and say, okay, if I have lack, I have a fear of lack. What would cause a fear of lack?
Yeah. What would be?
What would cause a fear of prosperity? Excuse me. Yeah, what would be the opposite? We need to
It's
look
the
at it.
fear of success most people are afraid of.
Yes, and because there was a consequence for it in the past.
By the way, folks,
Big one.
put into your mantra, the universe has no lack.
Yes. Oh, it's all energy, and we create, and energy never dies. You guys, the treasures are all around us. Can you bring that vibration in to match your frequency? Can you pull
Bingo.
it into your antenna?
Bingo. Here's one I found that I thought was really interesting. You can clear karmatic debt.
Oh, yeah.
Forgive forgive yourself and others and free yourself from karmatic cycles. Say the following: I forgive anyone I think has harmed me in this any lifetime, anywhere, on any dimension. I forgive all debts, because here's something, folks. You may think that you have debts, but understand you hold debts of others.
Yeah.
Trina, people don't think about that.
I
They
didn't, couldn't even imagine that. But when I realized that many of the people walking around on this planet right now might actually be part of my son's soul spirit, might be part of me, literally. So when that concept came into my mind, that potential could be very real, especially when you're dealing with a holographic nature, the whole is in a piece. So
Yes, yes.
it's profound when you think about that. So you got to literally look, when these things are coming into your life, what if it is your own higher self bringing these things into your life so you can look at your own stuff?
I'll share a personal experience. And again, it says, I forgive all debts, erase all karma. I choose light for myself and all myself.
Beautiful.
My father and I held a marker that he could not satisfy in his karmatic cycle. It was the son who came forward and forgave the debt that I hold. I could have used it against him in another lifetime.
That is so powerful, Wayne. I just heard that that traveled through multiple timelines, through multiple dimensions.
I
You
know it
heal
did.
pass with that.
It's
Profound. That's profound.
yeah, I hope people listen. It will
Profound.
change
It
your life.
changes the past. It
Yes,
changes
it does.
everything. It's profound. What I just saw in my mind was profound. I've seen it go deep, but I've never seen it go that far. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
I got tears on the inside. So anyway,
yeah, that was a big one. My heart
yeah,
got
it's like,
flooded with that
all
too.
right,
It was like, whoa, that was a
breathe
big wave of
deep
energy.
and breathe out. There we
Yeah,
go.
like hold
Yes.
on to that Pony. It's a wild one. Woo!
Woo.
Woo!
And you will feel gratitude if this has been activated and achieved successfully. As forgiveness happens in layers, it may take a few attempts before you truly feel true gratitude.
Wasn't that profound when you felt that shift happen?
Oh,
How the peace and the just the forgiveness and love, it's like a wave of bliss.
well, you
Can
know
you
what?
feel lighter too?
Oh,
Like you literally feel like you're floating for a little while. You're like, woo! I just got
you
50
know,
tons of crap lifted off my
and
back.
it did. It unloaded a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
I had come out of the coma. I was, everyone knows I was for about 8 days. And so when I finally got out of the hospital and was well enough to travel, that's the first thing I did was go visit my father.
That is so
And
profound, Wayne.
folks, apply it to your lives. How you can clear ancestral agreements. Releasing ancestral agreements by stating the following with focused intent. I now reject any and all vows that I accepted in order to experience the illusion of unconsciousness and separation from source. As the light bearer of my genetic lineage, I break these vows for myself and my ancestors. I declare these vows null and void in this incarnation and all of our incarnations across time, space, parallel realities, parallel universes, alternate universes, planetary systems, and all source systems in all dimensions. I ask for the release of all crystal devices, implants, negative thought forms, limiting emotions, matrices, veils, dark cellular memory, misguided pictures of reality, genetic limitation, and the illusion of death. I break the release these limiting vows and blockage vows. Now I am free, I am divine. I reclaim my natural power and co-create my reality with source. Then ask your inner source for the voids left behind so to be filled with harmony, love, joy, happiness, spiritual growth, and prosperity on all levels.
Wayne, I'm like freaking out right now. I don't know why, but the words just jumped off the screen and I literally went into tunnel vision as the light bearer of my genetic lineage.
Wow, that just hit me in a way. That just
I break
hit
these
me.
vows of
Whoa.
of myself and my ancestors. And I just saw Lilith and I saw right there.
Lucifer, I mean,
Light
this is
bearer.
what they did.
Yeah. Holy
We
crap.
are the light bearer.
Yes, we are the light bearer, lineage of the light bearer. Holy crap. Whoa. Like I
Whoa.
said, my eyes locked into that so hard. I was like, whoa, what? Pay attention.
You
Whoa.
know what? I did not even see that when I was
That's
putting
what I'm
that
telling you.
together.
Our minds
Holy
together.
shit.
Yeah. I'm like, this is good.
And look where it went also. Dark cellular memory.
Yes. I'm telling you, this is profound. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Big, big information in these words right here. Big, big, big information.
Wow.
Yeah, my lineage. I break my lineage
As the
as
light
the light
bearer
bearer.
of
Away
my
because,
genetic
yeah, which
lineage.
brought me from, separated me from source. Holy crap. Yeah, that one
Wow.
floored me, Wayne. That one like grabbed me in a very deep, deep, deep level. I was like literally floored with that. I was like, what am I Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. Wow, right?
Yeah, I am blown away with this. I mean, inside there is,
Yeah, me too.
I have this geometric eight-pointed cube that I now see in my mind when and when things really get going, it starts spinning. I can see it, and
Yeah.
yeah, wow. This is, as the light bear of
Which
my
is
genetic
you, which
lineage.
is the cube, which is the cage, which is the
Yeah.
cross, which is the Christ, which is the religion, which is, oh my God, holy crap.
Whoa.
Oh yeah. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
So I had to bring this out because this is to Brian over at Milky Way Messenger. This is to David Barry. This is to Al. This is to Nick. This is to so many of us. Ladies, I haven't forgotten about y'all as well. With Anka, Trina, there is just so many. We
Yes.
have all been talking, Trina, about the increased synchronicities in our lives. And I have been searching in meditation and being led by the influences. It has to mean something. It
Oh
just can't
yes.
be the vibration. It has to mean something. I found it.
Ooh.
When,
You
when
share.
I'm going to share,
Okay.
when you're fully aligned to your soul purpose, you will observe synchronicities or strange coincidences occurring to guide you effortlessly from one opportunity to the next. Another reliable clue from spirit that you're following your highest path is when you encounter the right people at the right time. These people have been placed in your path to deliver information, guidance, and assistance when you're in doubt or wanting to learn.
That is,
Synchronicity is the sign, the release that you are on the path, folks.
yeah, kisses from heaven.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, Trina.
They're like, look,
Oh,
look, look, good job. We're gonna
you
give you
know,
more. Yep.
I love that. But I found this and I said, well, this is it. It has to mean something when people are seeing these coincidences, these synchronicities, and they're happening with more and more people.
We're getting more. We're more coming into each other's
I love that.
alignment. Yeah,
So there we go. I thought that that might help someone. I don't know, Trina, if it does or
that's
not.
awesome. That is such
You know,
awesome information. I love
you
it.
know. I hope people have found some encouragement because Trina, we're going to do this. It's time for us to stop the cycle of oppression, depression, repression.
Yeah. And I do. I think the way to do that is like what you did with your dad. You healed yourself. And that healing comes from internal work and internal seeking and changing the way you think and feel about certain experiences that we've taken with us from this lifetime. But I have a feeling we've got to deal with some stuff from before too, because those charges are really strong in our being. And we need to heal them.
I'm convinced of it.
Yeah, me too.
I think part of the reason why I'm going into this life regression
Yes.
therapy is because I'm convinced that in some things in my life that there are things that I know I can get resolution to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only resolution, profound insight.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's so amazing because like when you do and like the journey work that I do, when people go into these light states of trance, which they're not in the deep symbiotic like Alba does and stuff, because those people are most of them are totally not conscious. I like to work in a conscious realm, so I
Yes.
do lighter states of trance, but they're just as I think they're more effective in my personal belief system because you have a conscious awareness of the entire session. You're not trying to retrieve it from the subconscious. It's fully in the conscious present mind. So
And
with
this is the therapy how they do that. You're consciously awake.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is what
Yeah.
I do. And
Yeah.
yeah, what the information that I've seen people bring forth from this is just absolutely
Well, let's
mind-blowing.
talk about this.
It is the simplest product. We are all able to do this. It is not a talent. I mean, to be a practitioner, you really want to have an intuitive foundation, which everybody in this community does. You guys are the ones that are supposed to be doing this work. It is
Mm-hmm.
natural. You use your imagination. You can go into your body. You can go into situations. You can go into trauma, and you can view them. And what you do is when you're in this deeper state of mind, you can tell your consciousness, I want you to step aside, and ego, personality, step aside for a minute. We're going to connect to our highest part of our own being. And we're going to learn from that part of ourself. And that part of yourself will tell you things that you don't know about this reality. And it knows more than you do. That's the connection to the higher self. And you can access it immediately in these states of mind. Immediately. So easy. And you literally use your imagination to deal with this trauma or the situation. You can put it up on a screen. You can do it any way you want. You can use your own way because it's your journey. It's your way. And that's what I love to do too. I don't fix people. I let them fix themselves. I just drive them on the school bus to get there. So
Yeah.
you go into the imagination, you go through these visions, memories, whatever, and then we ask, when have you felt like this before? And you'll start to see other situations. And then when have I seen this before? And you can go back as far as you want. As far as you
I'll
want.
share with you this morning what happened to me. I
Uh,
was able to go back to the age of 2 today. I've been practicing.
uh-huh.
I
Right
didn't
on.
know I didn't know this technique.
Yes.
And Trina, I was never, I mean, I was a bigot to my own self.
Yes.
you know?
Absolutely. And you can go before that and find out where were those programs coming from. Because
Hmm.
you can find that out. You might have got them in the womb. You might have
Yeah.
brought them from a past.
And I used to rebuff the thought that people could go back and actually feel themselves in the womb.
It is so easy. It's simple.
You
You've
know?
been there. It's
Well,
timeline. We
yeah,
time
you
travel.
have.
Memory is time travel.
Yeah.
So just because you can't remember it, it's still in your timeline. Super easy to go there.
I've read a number of cases where the one particular soul, when she finally blended with the fetus and had made the connection to the mother, first thing she said, I got a smart brain. She said, I
Oh,
got
right on.
lucky. Is what she said. But
Right on.
she said that she could feel her mother, and that she, the baby,
Mhm.
because they're still connected to where we all come from, the LBL zone.
Yes.
She said that she was the one who helped calm her mother.
Yes. Absolutely.
Isn't that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've seen mothers come into the wombs of their daughters to support them again as the
Uh,
daughter instead of the mother. I've seen this. Yeah. I've
the
actually seen
strangest
this
story
happen.
I read was one guy who apparently just had he came into life with a grudge against his mother, and they, you know what they found out?
What?
He was hurt when she was having sex when she was pregnant.
Oh, he was pissed off ever since.
Yes,
You were
yes.
poking my head with that big dick. Oh, that's funny. That is so funny.
I
Oh my
mean,
God. I've never heard one of those stories. I've heard other ones, but that's interesting, Wayne. That is interesting.
well, Trina,
Oh,
you're going to get the unusual and the rare here, but I
I
mean,
love it. I love it. And I'm like, oh my God, I literally see a kid who should be really pissed off right now.
I
Just don't even know why. Oh my God.
it put a whole new perspective on what children in the womb, and I'll call them children because it,
Yeah.
it wasn't until he went through this regression therapy.
Yeah, he didn't know what it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And now that he knows, the grudge is gone.
You just disappeared. It literally,
Yeah,
you
it
said,
does. It's
you know,
instantaneous. And that's why they call these miracles that happen in these procedures, they call them spontaneous healing because it's
Yeah,
literally
and that's what happened
yep,
spontaneously. Yep,
right
yep,
now.
yep.
Yep, right now. It's not 5 minutes, it's right now. When I saw that lady, though, regenerate her whole spine, that took about 6 months.
In fact, it's interesting. There was a case. He was a very famous Hollywood producer
Mhm.
who went through the life regression, and when he didn't believe in it, and before he went in, he was on renal failure. His kidneys
Yep.
were shutting down.
Yep. Renal.
Okay,
Yep.
so when he found out where there was a problem,
Hmm.
and it was back several lifetimes, he came in and they said within 4 months, the doctors had never seen it, his kidneys were 100%.
Completely cured.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I have seen this. I've seen this when people have disease and it like this lady with her spine. Um, this was a sexual trauma when she was a child, and there was a lot of stuff that had to be worked through. And as soon as she understood what it was doing to her body, and she put it all together through the trauma lines, and she had an understanding of what was happening, and she worked through it, and she decided to heal. Um, literally, it was literally, but it was the weirdest thing. You know how, Wayne, we've been talking about how the body has its own consciousness?
Yes.
Literally, she was
Hush
willing
up,
to heal
dance.
it. This is interesting because she was willing to heal it. Okay. Her conscious mind was willing to do it, but her neck literally came out and literally said no.
Wow.
And I had to fight with her neck in an intelligent way. And I was talking to her neck because her neck was like, no, I'm not going to. I like this. And I was like, what part of this do you like? And I started negotiating with the neck, this other part of her consciousness that was directly part of her body. It was not
Yeah.
what she was wanting. It was her body was literally saying nope. And I was like, I'd never come into contact with this before. So that was a challenge for me as a practitioner. I'm like, wow, what do I do with this? So I was like, okay. So oops, sorry. So I was like, okay, so she wants to put this behind her and heal it, but you want to hold on to it. And I was like, why would you want to do that? It was like, because I can and because I like it. And I was like, okay, well, eventually, do you like existing in this realm and do you like moving your body around? And the neck was like, yes. I says, well, you've already lost 90% of the mobility and you can't even turn your head. I said, soon you're going to be stuck in a chair and stuck watching a TV screen 24 hours a day until you die. I said, does that sound like good to you? And the neck was like, well, no. And I was like, but that's what you're doing. You're crippling this body. Seriously,
Wow.
you're
Yeah.
crippling this body. I said, so with that, I said, you know this program, correct? And the neck was like, yeah. And I was like, you know how you created it, correct? It was like, yeah. I said, so why don't you agree with her to run this new program and see if you like it? Because if you don't like it, you can always reinstall the crappy back program that you currently installed. And it was like, you're right. And I was like, so are you willing to try something new? And it was like, okay. And as soon as it said okay, this heat came out of her body, and I could see in my mind's eye, like sparklers, the kids that hold the sparklers. It was like sparkly light exploding in her body, and I could feel it coming out of her neck and her spine and her back, and it was profound, and she could too, and it was profound, and she literally completely regenerated her entire spine,
Wow. Hold on, dancer.
spontaneously healing. And she had been going to documented medical stuff for 9 years, and they had nothing for her. They were doing the spinal block shots
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
cartilage chicken shots and pain management, massage therapy, chiropractic, everything they could. But there was no cure for what she had. She had 7 degenerative spinal diseases,
Mm.
and now she's doing yoga.
All because she found out the.
All because she healed that trauma in her body and got agreeance with her neck, because her neck was not willing to comply. And we had to work through that. And I thank God I got creative and figured out how to go around that, because that was challenging for me as a practitioner, because I'd never dealt with that. Once we get the consciousness to go for something, it's usually a slam dunk, ring bell, done, winner, dinner, chicken dinner,
Boom.
you're winner. But then the neck was like, nope. I was like, what?
I love it.
What? Okay, wait, I got to think about this for a minute. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. You know how to recreate this, so you can. I had to negotiate, and I won, thank God. But that was a challenge for me big time as a practitioner, because that was a big loop. I was like, what?
And that's a subject I will get into, because, a lot of people don't realize they made a contract with their body as well. The body has a soul.
I really do think the primal ego part of our construct that is part of us, I really think that that's directly connected. The ego is directly connected to the body to keep it safe, to keep it alive. So we have issues with the body cooperation. I'm pretty sure that voice that was speaking as the neck was the ego, not wanting to let go of that program because they like things to stay the same.
They don't like change.
They don't. The ego is terrified of change because it doesn't know if it can stay in control. So
exactly.
That's why. Yeah.
Hold on, Dancer.
Oh.
Dancer's in here saying, she's like, all right, well, hour's come and gone. This has been a freaking far out hour. I want to tell you what, Trina, it has just been fabulous.
We're going to learn how to heal our junk and throw it in the dumpster where it belongs so we can get our wings back on.
Yeah, because
fly instead of cry.
That's the way I look at it. I don't need my junk. I need it all to be in the trunk.
Absolutely, because once you get rid of it, you're so light. And that's what I mean. And when you get rid of all that baggage, you start to get lighter and lighter, and you literally feel like you're flying.
And that's our true nature, is because the spirit of essence apparently doesn't weigh.
No. 2.5 grams, right?
About that. I think so.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, Kirk Plain. That was a very nice compliment. One of the best shows. I think that's so cool. Well, Miss Trina, you want to take us out for the day?
Okay. I love you all with my heart and soul. And remember, we are what we think. And most of all, we are what we feel. So if you feel anything about yourself that you don't understand or you can't love, get curious about that and find your way to it and love yourself through it so you can release all these old charges and old recordings that are running that truly no longer will serve you and they no longer serve our world. So it's our job to start to clean up our trash, and that is going to make you feel amazing.
I think that's about the most green that we could be.
Yeah. It is. It starts with us.
It does. Yeah. All right, folks. We'll see you next week, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's Christmas Eve. I don't have a problem. Or you have a problem being on?
I'm good.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.
I love my weekly chat with Wayne.
I enjoy the visit with Miss Trina. So, everyone, thank you, family. Just a great group of souls here. I think many of you are probably within... Well, we're probably all of some tribe that are all connected, I think, Trina, but we
are the true soulmates.
I think so.
We are the soulmates of each other. That's why we vibrate similarly, because we're each other's soulmates. And we'll bring challenges to each other too. So we need to understand that. The fighting that goes on amongst us, we probably signed up for it.
Folks, get rid of that karma. Forgive. If you're holding a debt against someone else, forgive the debt. Go on. All right, folks.